Welcome to my cap-friendly Seattle expansion draft. And before we get into the players I chose, this was actually quite difficult. It was quite difficult to fit under, getting the 30 players, getting the minimum forwards, defense, goalies, at least 20 contracts for the 2021-2022 season, fitting under the max cap of 81.5. It was quite interesting. So players that I wanted, obviously I couldn't pick. And there were some players I picked that I didn't even consider. So let's get right into it. Here it is, my cap-friendly Seattle expansion. So like I said in the beginning, for this expansion draft, 30 players to be drafted. Minimum amount of forwards is 14. Minimum defense is 9. Minimum goalies is 3. You need at least 20 2021-2022 contracts. The min cap hit is 48.9. Maximum cap hit 81.5. So let's get into the players I chose and why. And we're going to start with the Anaheim Ducks. And I took Adam Henrique, mainly because he's a veteran. He has some experience. He's had playoff success, and he's just that veteran presence Seattle could use. I could have went like Volkov, who was an RFA, or maybe Shattenkirk, who had more money, or less money. Volkov couldn't fit based on the amount of contracts that I needed, that 20 contract limit. It really hindered me doing this. So I went with Adam Henrique. Arizona, Aiden Hill in net. For over the last 2 seasons, he averaged 915 save percentage, and he has been that third string goalie, and I have him as, between 2 and 3 for Seattle. For Boston, Jacob Zaboral. On defense. So, it's a new franchise for him. Maybe this new franchise will light a spark after, that 2015 draft debacle that the Bees had. I did look at Lozon on forward, but instead I went with the D here, again, because I needed to get to that minimum amount of defense. Buffalo, I went with Tage Thompson. Now, I prefer Asplund. I do. It's potentially Buffalo, does retain him. And protects him. But I didn't take Asplund here just because Tage is signed and it fits within the expansion rules, basically. Like I said, I liked Asplund, 7 goals in 28 games this year. I decided to stay away from Miller. His stock definitely has dropped in Buffalo, and his price tag is a bit too high. Cap reasons, again. And I can't see him pulling like a Vegas again, where he plays a significant role. Calgary, this is when I went, screw it, let's take on some cap. Went with Mark Giordano. He's a captain of Calgary. He's a veteran. I could have gone younger with, was it Clinington? But you take a captain when he becomes available, even at 37. And he's a former Norris winner. Carolina, I went with Brady Shea. I'd like Warren Fogle, but, as he is an RFA, be cheaper. There's lots of promise in there. He'd probably have increased opportunity, but I'm guessing he will be protected. Brady Shea can come in there, play significant minutes with Seattle. And who knows, maybe he has like a Shea Theodore's impact. Because, he's not getting it in Carolina, is he? Carolina is just too stacked. Chicago, I went with Adam Gaudette. I figured someone like Strome was a possibility until that Keith trade. And with Edmonton helping them out and the Hawks, not having to retain any salary, it allows them to keep someone like Strome, and Seattle loses out. So I'm taking Gaudette. Colorado, Ryan Graves. There are forward options there. You could have gotten, I could have went with like a great player like Donskoy, maybe a little expensive at $4 million, but he's a good player. Might have taken a chance on Jost, especially with his improved play in the playoffs. But I'd have to go with Graves. What he brings to the team at just over $3 million, why not? You have to. That decor is going to be decent. Columbus, I went with Eric Robinson. I was thinking, you could take one of the 2 Columbus goalies, if anything, for trade bait later. But too bad Merzlikins is exempt. So too bad for Seattle. Luckily for Columbus. I'm sure Columbus will probably try to throw like a draft pick or 2 to try to take like someone like Gus Nyquist. But in this instance, we don't have that, so I'm taking Eric Robinson. Dallas Stars, Anton Goudobin, goaltender. 2020 playoffs, Just think about that. That's why you take him. Detroit, I'm going to go with Troy Stetcher on D. I think he has a good deal. I still am surprised Vancouver let this guy go. It was between him and Juice. I took Stretcher just because of his deal and the amount of years. Edmonton, Josh Archibald, forward. That's what I took. Ideally, I would say screw it, risk it, go for Clefbaum. But within my cap friendly, he just doesn't fit under the cap that I need. So going with Josh Archibald at forward, and he's just another depth player that'll be good for Seattle. Florida, I'm going to get some scoring. I'm going to get some playmaking with Anthony Duclair. You know what? I could have had a risk with Clefbaum, but obviously that didn't fit. This is definitely not a risk right here. Taking Duclair. Some people might look at Drieger, but he's a UFA, and I'm not going to waste a pick on Drieger here when I can get someone like Duclair, just because, Drieger, you get 48 hours in addition before he becomes a UFA, and I don't trust it. So take the guy who's already signed, take Duclair. Now, unless Duclair ends up being protected, which I would assume looks unlikely due to the Panthers and who they must protect and their deals, you gotta take Duclair. Los Angeles, I'm gonna go Blake Lizotte. I'm not going big on Brown or Quick, not taking on that salary. Some might think, why not give like Elias Anderson a shot, that shot that he desires. But again, like other draft picks before it, Lizotte meets the criteria needed for it to fit in this expansion to get me my 20 contracts. Anderson, he's an RFA in 2021, Lizotte 2022, so Lizotte fits in better for me. Minnesota, take Matt Dumba and just say thank you for the elite defender. You tried to trade him for a while, you're not able to do it. Seattle takes him off your hands. Montreal, Jonathan Drouin. Get him out of Montreal, get him out of his hometown. Drouin returns, ready to show what he can do with Seattle. I think he might have like that Carlson effect. Comes in, scores above what his expectations, and he plays a pivotal role in Seattle's season. Nashville, I'm expecting them to protect their 4D, unless somehow Ellis gets moved. So a forward is who you take, and you got to give it a go and take the big contract. I'm going to assume they're saving Johansson or Duchesne, or maybe just leave them both unprotected. I'm taking Matt Duchesne. New Jersey, you want to bring in that big personality with Subban. He has 1 year deal left at $9 million, but like I said, you need to get under that cap of 81.5, and just couldn't do it. And this is the only way. Plus, I like his podcast. So Connor Carrick, welcome to the team. New York Islanders, I'm going to go with Kiefer Bellows. It's time to see what the kid has. It's tough to find that on a deep, deep Islanders team. Why not Seattle give him a chance, see what he does. New York Rangers, I'm going to go with Brett Howden. I like how he played last year. It's some depth, and the New York center depth it's quite clogged. So this is a chance for Howden to shine a little bit, or take at least a step in a positive direction. Ottawa, I'm going to go with Chris Tierney. He has 1 year left. He could be a great trade chip at the deadline. It's a good trade value. He's a depth player, and he's cheaper than someone like Colin White, who I still think is well overpaid. So you go with Chris Tierney at center. Philadelphia, I'm taking Nolan Patrick. The former number 2 overall. Yes, he's had some injury problems and everything like that, but he got to play a bit last year. If it becomes available, you risk it for it. Voracek is the rumor that he will be left unprotected, but I just can't see it. Whoever it is, between the two, you take one of those two, in my opinion. You take Patrick or you take Voracek. Voracek's cap hit is huge, so I think, I don't know, Seattle have to be like some draft pick or like behind the scenes dealings there. You take the kid, though. Get Nolan Patrick a refresh. So that's who Seattle's going to take from Philly, Nolan Patrick. Pittsburgh, taking Jared McCann. Play center, can play the wing. You could go for like a top 4 D-man, sure, and like Pedersen. He's an option, but he's at like $4 million. Yes, if you have the space, sure. But if someone like McCann's available, obviously you're going to take him over like Bluger. And what McCann has done for Pittsburgh, he's become very, very enticing. So you definitely go for him. San Jose, their cupboard is bare, isn't it? So I'm going to pick the guy with the best underlying numbers, or at least good underlying numbers. We're going to go with Ryan Donato. St. Louis, I'm taking another guy with good numbers. He's a great defender, actually. He'll play a bigger role with Seattle. I'm going to go with Vince Dunn. Tampa Bay, you know what, like Nikita Kucherov, drunk Nikita Kucherov, he did say that they're going to lose some good players. Preferably if you're Seattle, you're like, oh, come on, Cirelli, be available. But no, he'll be protected. You got Matthew Joseph there you could get as an RFA, so that's potentially. You have Tyler Johnson, but nah. I'm sure Tampa Bay will try to trade him, and they will likely get a trade done based on what he did in the playoffs. But if I'm Seattle, don't let the playoff performance persuade you. You're taking Yanni Gourde. He'll be a top-line player. He's only 29 years old, 4 more years at $5 million. Take him, see what he can do with Seattle. More eyes on him, more opportunity, more time on the ice. Toronto, I'm going Alex Kerfoot. Steve Dangle convinced me of this one. With Travis Dermott signing that deal, the 2-year deal at, 1.5, they're going to protect him over someone like Hall, just based on him being cheaper and the 6-year age gap. Dermott's only like 24, Hall's 30. So that means Hall will be available for Seattle and Kerfoot. Rumors say Seattle see a good place for Kerfoot. He can play the wing, he can play center, play penalty kill, power play. Hall, on the other hand, is on a shorter deal. So who do you take? You take the guy that you were leaning towards anyway. I think with the other D available, you get better options than Hall, and Kerfoot slides into that forward group nicely for Seattle. So you take him. And no, they're not going to pick Zach Hyman and negotiate with that 48-hour window. I just don't see it. Not with him anyway. Vancouver, I'm going to go with Cole Lind. So I'm going to assume, the Canucks throw out a draft pick or try to get Seattle to take Holtby or Furland. But to fit this scheme, obviously that doesn't happen. And Cole Lind, with what he brings, young player, Seattle can, I guess, groom him. He'll have minor experience. He might get in a few NHL games, and he can develop. So it'll be really good. He fits the scheme. And if I'm honest, I'm not going to take someone like Holtby. I'm not taking a goalie because, there's goalies later on or other teams that I would choose over someone like Braden Holtby. Vegas, not applicable. The lucky buggers, they haven't reached that 5-year point, so they don't lose anyone. Of course they don't. Washington Capitals, this is why I didn't take the veteran in Holtby. One, because I already have Goodobin as a veteran. Hill provides, he's young with some experience, and now so does Vitek Vanacek. So this is the third goalie that I'm choosing. Some might like someone like Sprong, as he has played like a larger role this year for Washington. He could get more opportunity with Seattle. Schultz is also an option. Just before I move on, Oshie won't be available. The hometown boy won't be coming home. If he did, he'd automatically be the captain. But Caps will go something like 7-3-1, and they don't need to worry about Ovechkin because technically he's a UFA, so they'll sign him after the draft. So who do you take? You take the goalie who played some number 1 minutes this year. You go with Vitek Vanacek. And then Winnipeg, I'm going to take the Giant, the 6'7" Logan Stanley. He had a surprising season. He had a good little playoffs, and it's unfortunate to the Jets that he had his breakout year this year because they will lose him in the expansion draft. So those are my players. Let's just go over the forwards again, the defense, goalie, and then just summarize everything. So there it is. You can see right there, Seattle expansion draft, 30 of 30 drafted, 18 forwards, 9 defense, 3 goalies, 2021-2022 contracts, got 20. And the min cap hit, it doesn't say, max cap hit doesn't say, but if you look down, my projected cap hit for Seattle Kraken, $67 million. Not too bad, probably in the ballpark of what Seattle might be looking for, so then they can sign some free agents and everything like that. When I was doing the actual draft the team, I I was right there at like 80.5 or something like that. So let's get right into it. Let's check out my forwards. So as you see here, forwards, 18 of them. I got Matt Duchene, Adam Henrique, Jonathan Drouin, Yanni Gourde, Chris Tierney, Alex Kerfoot, Jerry McCann, Josh Archibald, Tage Thompson, Eric Robinson, Brett Howden, Blake Lizotte, Nolan Patrick, Kiefer Bellows, Ryan Donato, Adam Gaudette, Cole Lind, and Anthony Duclair. That forward group is pretty good. I like that. I actually really, really like that. They got a ton of RFAs. Well, not a ton, but you got a handful of RFAs that you can easily sign. And no one there is going to get some massive, massive contract. Duclair will get a decent one. But other than that, that's pretty good. As you go through, you got your big $8 million there in Matt Duchene all the way up to 2026. However, you can make it work. Forward group, I'll take it. Now we look at the defense. Veteran, Mark Giordano, Matt Dumba, Brady Shea, Ryan Graves, Torrey Stetcher, Jacob Zaboral, Connor Carrick, Logan Stanley, Vince Dunn. Whew. That's a decent little defense right there, isn't it? That's decent. You got Giordano, Dumba, Shea, Graves, Dunn, and then those 5 right there. And then you have the battle for the rest. I like it. And my goaltending, you got your vet in Anton Godomin, Vanacek and Aiden Hill fighting for that 2 spot. But at any time, any of these players, any of those goalies could be the number 1 goalie. So let's take a look at the team as a whole. And there it is. There's my team as a whole. Projected cap hit, $67.6 million. About $13 million as projected cap space. Obviously, within that $13 million, I got to sign a bunch of those RFAs. They can do it. They can do it. This was actually quite difficult. It was quite difficult, this expansion draft, to do. Cap friendly is amazing to be able to do it. You can pick guys to protect and then try to make the picks. I know for the expansion draft, teams need to submit it in advance. So if those lists do come out, that's cool because you can come back into cap friendly, select those players, and then see if you can predict the actual Seattle Kraken draft. Cap friendly is phenomenal. This isn't paid, by the way, not a paid sponsor. It's just a great, great platform. So that's my team. Let me know what you think down below. Comment your thoughts on this Seattle Kraken draft, what you think of cap friendly, what you think of the video. It's fun. It's fun, and I cannot wait for the expansion draft to go down. Once again, thank you for stopping by the video, and thank you to Cap Friendly for putting that little bit together to be able to do this Seattle expansion draft. It was fun to try to sort out. Took a little while to do. If you want to try it yourself, the link is in the description down below. It's also here on the screen. And yeah, thanks again for stopping by. Next video, looking at doing, why not predict the first round of the NHL entry draft. That'll be a good one. Thanks again. Take care, everyone. See you later.